We have helped so many clients with ADA compliance. I've distilled our process and recommendations into a quite literal roadmap that is on the screen with me. The title here is ADA Web Compliance 2026. Of course, there are so many entities that are rushing to meet the April 2026 deadline, and this roadmap is going to help you understand exactly what to do. Before we get to stage one, an introduction to myself, my name is Kris Rivenberg. I'm an attorney. I am also the author of the ADA book. The ADA book speaks to ADA compliance for digital assets. I have 8 years experience in digital accessibility and compliance. And this year I published another book, Digital Accessibility and Compliance. And that leads us to stage one of this roadmap, which is education. Now, education doesn't have to be long and drawn out. In fact, you can finish the education stage within an afternoon, but it is so important that you learn exactly what's going on here, because what happens all too often is people will sit in on sales demos from various accessibility companies and they will be sold on unnecessary products and services. And what's worse than wasting money is wasting time and going in the wrong direction. So think about traveling. Let's say that you're going to Los Angeles and then you mistakenly enter into the GPS Denver, Colorado. So you find out, let's say 70% the way through, that you're actually headed towards Denver and not Los Angeles. And so that's what can happen with your accessibility project. You can take all of these steps and make all of this progress, but you're going exactly in the wrong direction. So we don't want that to happen. And that is why we start with education. So I highly recommend my book. It's titled Digital Accessibility and Compliance. It's available on Amazon. I will link to it in the description. This book is going to help you understand all of the concepts and terms in this landscape, and not only understand the terminology, but also how everything relates to one another. So this book is very, very important and it will help orient you very quickly. It takes just about an hour, maybe an hour and 30 minutes to read. But once you have this, everything will become much clearer and much easier to understand. Whereas now you might be confused with all of the different terms that you're hearing, all of the different products and services that are being presented to you. Now you'll understand exactly what you need and exactly what you do not need. So start with the book. I also highly recommend my ADA Title II web series. This is available on YouTube. You can watch this right now. I'll include a link to the playlist in the description. This is going to take you step by step into exactly what you need to do, starting from step one to, I can't remember how many videos are in the series, but let's say step 12, just knowing exactly what to do to become ADA compliant. All right, so moving to stage two, you're going to have some primary digital assets. So think about a website, possibly a mobile app, possibly a web app. You need to get those primary digital assets audited so that you can know exactly what issues exist. Once you have the audit report, then you can start working towards WCAG 2.1 AA conformance. So you're going to need to source this out because you need a technical accessibility expert with experience in auditing. You need them to conduct the audit, have the audit report, and then you can work from that audit report. Next, we have stage three, which is platform. So here I have Accessibility Tracker. This is our platform that we have made to streamline accessibility and compliance and keep track of your entire project. There's so much to talk about with Accessibility Tracker, but I think what's most important is it will help organize your project and help you know exactly where you stand and what issues you need to fix. So think about taking your audit report and making it dynamic so that your project is so much easier to manage after the audit. So that is stage three. Moving on to stage four, we have remediation. This is where your team is going to start to resolve those issues. So going back to the platform, you can update the status and then you know that that issue is fixed. Once it's fixed, you want to make sure it's validated so it's resolved. And so that's what stage four is all about, is remediation. Let's actually get to WCAG 2.1 AA conformance. With stage five, we have documentation. So once we've made our digital asset WCAG conformant, we want to have documentation of this. So this is where we can potentially get into VPATs. This is where we can potentially get into provider certification or a conformance statement, maybe even just accessibility reports, which are available inside of Accessibility Tracker. But we want to have documentation of all of our efforts and all of our progress. So that is stage five. Stage six is training. So here we have the WCAG course. This is our course. It's available at ADAcompliance.net. With the WCAG course, your team can be trained on the web content accessibility guidelines. It's so fundamental. It's so foundational to everything that we're doing. We need to know the web content accessibility guidelines. what's in play for ADA compliance, especially for you entities concerned with Title II, will be WCAG 2.1 AA. The course covers all of the success criteria or all of the technical requirements in WCAG 2.1 AA. It also includes 2.2 AA if you want to go to that next version. But what's so important is that your team understands what the technical requirements are. And so this course has and explains those technical requirements so that you can implement the web content accessibility guidelines into your workflows and make sure that you're not introducing new accessibility issues unnecessarily. And then you have to repeat this process over and over again. What we want to do is we want to go through this process and then have accessibility implemented into our workflow so that we don't have to go through this process again unless we want to or unless we need to for some kind of organizational policy reason. All right, so moving on to stage 7, we have maintain WCAG 2.1 AA. That's what's so important, is not that we get to full conformance, is that we maintain full conformance. So it is so important. This is where we go back to training. This is where we go back to accessibility tracker. With accessibility tracker, one thing we're adding to help you monitor accessibility to the extent that scans can, we're adding automated scanning and monitoring. So that's going to help with the maintenance. Of course, that's not everything. Of course, scans are very limited, but there will be that feature. And then what you can also do is after, let's say, a year, if you like, then you can go ahead with another audit and make sure that you have maintained that accessibility. And then really throughout this whole process, you're building proficiency and expertise in-house. And so that is part of stage 7, is maintaining this WCAG 2.1 AA conformance. And then I have here stage 8, artificial intelligence, which means staying up to date on the latest, because AI is capable of amazing things, and AI can really speed up our accessibility project. With Accessibility Tracker, we have AI implemented in so many different ways, but it's important to know that there's a place for AI and there's a definite place for the manual side, especially when it comes to audits. So once you have the audit in place, then you have that manual work that's gone into it, you have that valuable data, and from there you can extract that data and really have AI help take your project to the next level, finish your project faster, and then reach full conformance faster, of course, along with that. So with artificial intelligence, you want to stay up to date because it can really help you in maintaining accessibility and creating new content. Just for an example, with closed captions and audio descriptions, artificial intelligence is coming so far along with those things. You definitely don't want to be fulfilling that side of accessibility solely through manual work. You want to make sure to implement artificial intelligence along the way. And so on this channel, I'll be talking about AI, and I will also be telling you how we're working in AI to Accessibility Tracker. Accessibility Tracker already has so much of AI implemented, but we're going to continue on because, of course, this is amazing technology, but it's so important to be aware of its limitations in accessibility. And that's part of what I was talking about when it comes to sitting in on these sales demos from accessibility companies. Many of them are trying to sell you on products and services, and because they're so eager to oversell their capabilities, they're being deceptive in what they present to you. So that's, again, why we go back to education, and it's so important that you understand exactly what's going on with this landscape. But this roadmap is going to help you accelerate your compliance, and it's going to not only accelerate it, but make sure that you actually do become compliant rather than just having the illusion of compliance. So this is going to help you with your legal risk. This is, of course, going to help make sure that you are following best practices for compliance. So this roadmap really is going to help you, especially if you are up against the deadline and you need to be compliant by April 2026. There is so much here. I'm going to link to the resources in the description. And if you need help, of course, feel free to reach out to me. I am the founder of accessible.org. We conduct accessibility audits all day, every day. This is what we do. So if you need help with it, accessibility and compliance, feel free to reach out to me. So I will include resources in the description.